Hi everyone, my name is Erin Elizabeth Wamberg. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you are new here. Today we have a new moon in Leo. So this is a new moon pick a card reading, tarot. So new moons are about new energy coming in. They're about setting new intentions, planting seeds for things you want to have happen in your life. And just using this new energy to kind of pull that energy for you, because this new moon is in Leo. We're looking at fiery energy. We're looking at go out and get it done. We're looking at royalty, zodiac royalty here. So this is some of the energies that might be coming up for you. Like usual, this reading is timeless. So if you're watching it when it is not the new moon, when it's not the new moon, then there is a message in here for you if you feel called to watch this reading. Okay, I have 3 groups for you today. I inserted a picture of the 3 groups. You can go ahead and choose the group based on the number, based on the feeling in your body, group 1, 2, or 3. All the timestamps are below, and when you're ready, I will see you at the reading that you chose. Hi everyone, welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 1. So you picked the group, you are lovable. So love who you are as you're created perfectly. Everything about your true self is beautiful. So maybe a few messages of self-love here for this group. Maybe you can call in some more loving energy for yourself with this new moon. Leo is the Leo ego, so this is the sign to do it with that if you want to. But maybe you slip. Sometimes we can, slip off from some of our self-care or slip off from some of the loving ways we communicate with ourselves, which is fine. We're humans. It's just part of the process. It's just, we learn through contrast and contrasting experiences. So maybe, how can you give yourself some loving kindness, some some care, some compassion, some grace, some mercy, anything like that maybe is something you can think about for this new moon. How can you up your self-love and not just like, oh, I'm going to book a spa day. I mean, that's great. We want to do that type of self-care too, but it's all about energetically, right? We do those things not to fill a void, but in order to be able to really tap into the fullness of love we have for ourselves. So very nice. A good card to start with. Okay, so like usual, I'm going to start with your tarot and then we'll do your oracle cards afterwards. Okay, so group 1's opening with the Wheel of Fortune and Temperance. So 2 major arcanas. Then the 4 of Wands, then 6 of Cups, then 8 of Cups, then King of Swords, and then 9 of Pentacles. Okay, so this group, just what I was just talking about with the you are lovable energy, with this Wheel of Fortune and Temperance, this is about like kind of Wheel of Fortune is about things changing, and maybe you've gone through something. I don't want to talk about all the cards at once, but I'm going to do one at a time. Okay, maybe gone through something where a cycle is finally changing, or you finally see results happening, or you finally see a change occurring that you've been working towards. Wheel of Fortune is about, the wheel of fate, things moving, things finally punching along. Sometimes we're in that period where we're just waiting for things to happen and we've done all we can do and we just have to, be present while all the things fall in place for us. But Wheel of Fortune is about, things that are actually moving, things are actually changing. There's new things going on for you. There's, the results of the work you've put in and the things you've desired. So Wheel of Fortune is about just again, things happening. So when we look at that right next to the Temperance, I think this is really about making sure you find balance within yourself. So just what I was talking about with the You Are Lovable card, just remember sometimes the best thing we can do for ourselves is go back to the basics and is kind of, find that balance and have one foot in, one foot out, pour the water in the cups until we find like they're even again, so really how can you replenish your own cup is coming through with this new moon. So maybe, you went through a phase where you really were focused on other people, which is fine. Life is phases, that's what happens. But now with this new moon, you can think about how can I pour back into myself now that, especially like these things are changing and things are happening. What can I do in order to make sure that I don't just lose all my energy in places? It doesn't just get away from me. I don't just, completely lose sight of myself, because sometimes we develop these patterns while we're waiting for things to happen. And then once they do happen, we aren't mentally prepared for them to change or for something to change. And so we can lose some of those patterns we built for ourselves because it's just a different reality than what we were used to. So this is really saying, once the wheels start going, if they haven't yet, once the things you've been working for start happening, how can you make sure you pour into your own cup, you take care of yourself, you make sure you're putting things to be in balance for yourself. So with this new moon, maybe you can make a list for that. You can think, well, once this thing happens, then I know, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to show up for myself. Because right next to that, we have very beautiful Four of Wands. So this card is, it's sometimes known as the gateway card. So like really moving into that dream life, that dream situation, what you've been wanting to have happen. So I think this is really saying this is possible for you to have this, what you've been waiting for, what you want to have happen is possible for you, and is coming true, is coming to fruition. But you really need to look at the ways that you can have some of this balance for yourself. These are three beautiful cards in a row, especially these two major arcanas going right into the Four of Wands. So if things are moving and you do create that balance for yourself, and you do create this dream world for yourself, sometimes people think this card's only about romance, but it's about, the whole package. So it could be about, a dream job, a dream house you live in, the place you want to live in, any and all of that is coming up with this. So when you think about that situation, because Leo is like, the go big card, go big, figure it out, do all of that. So when you think about all of this, maybe think about what do you need to have set in your life to be able to make sure that happen? And then because we opened your reading with the You Are Lovable card, I think, the energy I'm getting from this is that maybe it's more energetic things for yourself. So maybe you think with this, like, oh, well, it all couldn't happen for me, or it's too good to be true, or I'm not meant to have this, that thing, all that. So really thinking about what are the boundaries? How can you fill up your own cup with like loving, kind thoughts to yourself as things start to move forward, right? Sometimes we can wait for something or work for something for so long, and then when it shows up, we're not energetically ready to receive it. Like, am I a match for it inside, even though I've been asking for this thing to come outside of me for so long? So I think this is really, with this new moon, and especially with this Leo energy, you can really use that to think about what are ways I can really show up and know that I am worthy, know that these are things that are for me, that can enter my life, and like I'm just a match for them as they are for me, right? What I want wants me, what I'm seeking is seeking me. So you can say that to yourself, you can affirm that. So I think maybe cleaning up that energy a little bit might be helpful for you with this new moon, because what the center of your reading, the theme of your reading, is the Six of Cups. So I read this card as the inner child card. So I think maybe this is really looking at any type of fear stories or shame stories or any type of wounding or limiting beliefs that your inner child might have in order to have all this stuff. This is like really a time to look at that and just like ask to release it, and then like kind of write a new story for your inner child. So if you have been wanting this dream job for so long, and then the wheels are turning and things are happening and fate's stepping in and doing all of that, and then your inner child now gets to be like, okay, maybe you don't feel worthy, maybe you don't feel safe, maybe you don't feel whatever. So what is a new abundant story you can tell yourself? That's the theme for group one for this reading of, you are lovable, this beautiful inner child of you is lovable, and you are able to really flourish in the way maybe you weren't when you were younger, because we all have, our situations in childhood. Being on earth is hard. Growing up on earth is hard. And so just really thinking about what can you tell your inner child? What's a new story you can write for yourself, to be able to get there and to be able to honor those things for yourself and that process for yourself. So it's not just like, it comes and then, God can drop it right in your hands, and you still have to say yes to it. You still have to be brave enough to say yes. You still have to say, I deserve this and I can have it, right? This isn't just like, here it is. We always have to do our own part. It isn't just saying yes right away and like, that's it. It never, and we don't have to do our part. We have to. That's part of being on earth. So really thinking about, I think with this new moon, just really tapping into that inner child energy, that loving energy for your inner child, holding space for yourself, is definitely coming through with that one. And then I will say what will come up with that is, we do have this Eight of Cups right into the King of Swords. So I think this is really saying, if there is some painful feelings here, some sadness, that's allowed and possibly could happen. So, it's like, do shadow work, heal your inner child, do all of that. That's great, but why people don't want to do it, why we have to tell people to do that is because sometimes it just sucks. Sometimes it feels bad, sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's whatever. So it's really saying, maybe you have to leave a story you've been telling yourself a long time. Even if it is a change we want to make in our lives, sometimes it is hard to leave a story that is familiar to us, right? So even if it's like, I had a rough childhood and I feel like a victim, even if we leave that story and we want to grow past it, it's like, well, that was part of my identity for a really long time and how I saw myself. So how am I going to show up for myself now? So this is really saying if any sadness comes up, leaving stories, even if again they're things that you feel like you want to be leaving. Maybe as you think about how you can like create these basics for yourself, maybe you're going to have to, not participate in certain habits anymore, or not maybe be around certain people as much anymore. And that's part of growth, is not everything can come with us to the next layer of our lives, but just remind yourself that the things that are for you definitely will come with you, and you can't lose those like at all. Like you cannot lose the things that are meant to go with you on your journey. But this is just really saying, especially Six of Cups to the Eight of Cups, right? So this is really moving from a 6 to an 8. Is there's too much stuff here. You have to kind of let things go. You have to learn what you don't need. And so again, when you think about writing that new story and telling yourself a new story with this new moon, it's going to be like letting yourself let go of some of like the limiting beliefs we've had. And there's nothing wrong that we have limiting beliefs. We all have them because we think in some way we're protecting ourselves with those. So, and sometimes of course growing out of those can be painful, just because again, it's been our story for however long and how we've seen ourselves for that long. And then going into the King of Swords. So this is about a little bit of emotional detachment. So I feel like once you can kind of, and boundary work, of course, all sorts about boundaries. So once you can kind of set those boundaries and release yourself and just kind of be like, okay, this is what I'm walking away from. This is where you have to call in your inner adult to kind of like set those boundaries for yourself. So sometimes, this is really about, we want our inner child as we get older to continue to thrive, so we can have fun, so we can play, so we can connect with people, we can be joyous. But we also need to have our inner adult to know like, okay, this is the thing I'm leaving behind and I'm letting go and I'm moving forward, and this is like the new me I want to step into. So just really imagine if you had a good balance between your inner child and your inner adult, what would that look like, right? So I let my inner child come out when I'm playing, when I'm flirting, when I'm with my partner, when I'm with my friends, when I'm doing this hobby I love, whatever. But my inner adult comes out when I need to set a boundary, when I need to do this thing for work, when I, whatever's coming up for you. So just remember, we need to have both, and you're allowed to access the energy of either one depending on what you need. Because if you look at the closing of your reading, this is so beautiful. We have the Nine of Pentacles, so that you are just thriving and soaring with this new moon. I feel like once these changes take place and the boundaries you want to set, the things you want to have access, the ways you want to compartmentalize your energy, to be like, okay, this is when I let my inner child take over. This is when I let my inner adult take over. You're just going to end with this, lots of abundance with this Nine of Pentacles energy. So just a lot of abundance, a lot of like, yes, here I am. This is what I'm doing. Everything feels good for me. Like I'm in my garden with my little bird and my Nine Pentacles going for myself here. So just really honoring and knowing that like you can have all these things, and that the energetic frequency you tap into can materialize into physical reality if you show up for yourself, if you let go of these beliefs, if you set these boundaries, if you know when you need to have your inner child versus your inner adult coming forward. Okay, then let's look at your oracle cards. Okay, so okay, this is what I was talking about. So we have this first one. The one side says sharing shame. And the other side says, when I share my deepest pain, I give myself permission to be. So this is what I was talking about a little bit with the inner child. It's just kind of like sometimes we hold on to these stories and they can feel so overwhelming because we keep them private or we're not sure how to share them or whatever. But this is really saying, when I share my deepest pain, I give myself permission to be. So really just thinking about, what are these stories I have that I don't need to have anymore? How can I rewrite them? How can I let them go? How can I, whatever. So just making that list and really being brave enough to look at them and then release them. Like there's a lot of things, once we bring them to the light, they can't survive in the way that they've been kind of like festering before. And that's not judgment. We don't, we do it at the time we can do it. So I get it. But just going along with that, we have energy flows where my intention goes. So this is really just saying, put the focus on, be very clear with yourself. Like I was saying, this is what my inner child is in charge of. This is what my inner adult is in charge of. This is, I know I'm worthy of these things I've been working for because of this. I know this is how I find balance for myself. I know this is what my boundary is, right? If you imagine that and you script it for yourself and you practice it, it just makes it so much easier when the time comes for you to actually act on that than if we're just like, oh, I'll deal with it when I get there or whatever. There is hyperfixation before something happens, but there also is, not giving yourself any space at all to mentally hold space for how you want things to go, which can be sometimes, just as damaging if you don't do that. And then you have this card, reach for the stars. So you deserve only the best. And this is all you should focus your attention on. So again, just a lot of this energy of where your focus is, that's what's going to happen for you. Just get very clear, know what your limits are, know how you want to compartmentalize, know what you want to focus on, all of that. Maybe if you felt like, again, a lot of this temperance energy of just like all over the place, like finding balance, getting back to the basics, doing all that for yourself is just only going to serve you the more you do that. And then this is really interesting. Both of these cards, so you have connect with your soul family, and then you have star keeper, cosmic ancestors, seed the light by staying grounded. So both of these talk about, just kind of like a life beyond this realm. So sometimes if we feel like overwhelmed by earth or things are a little hard or, we're not sure what limits to set or anything like that, both of these, just remember that like earth is a lesson. We are here to grow and expand, but we are way more than earth. And so you do have your soul family of that energy you can call on. If you need help, you can just pray for your angels, for your soul family, to your higher power, to just kind of allow things to help, ask for guidance very clearly. And then this card is also saying, remember that like, you are more than your body, you're more than life on earth, you're more than just maybe some of the things you're working through right now. And that's not to minimize what you're going through, it's to remind you of your own power. Okay, that's everything I have for you. I hope this served you, and I hope you have a wonderful new moon. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 2. So you picked the patience. Your prayers have been heard, and they are being answered. So I know everyone loves to hear this. This is our favorite part of being on Earth, but you need some patience, group 2. Okay, so if you pick this, so just a reminder that, just because we have the thought or we have the desire or we make the prayer request doesn't mean that things happen immediately, right? It's always God's time, not our time. It's always, these things happening for us, not to us. And, if you think about a lot of things in your life, once they finally happen, usually that's when we can say, okay, well, I understand why this couldn't happen until this exact particular moment, right? So this is really just about having patience with this new moon. You can, of course, ask for some patience. You can ask for this patient energy to come into your life. You can ask for all of that. But again, this is really just saying your prayers have been heard and they are being answered. So patience is a lot of times a test of our faith. It's a test of, do we really believe that our higher power is looking out for us? And also, can we create feelings of peace and wholeness while we're waiting for certain things? Obviously, we do have certain needs to be alive, but a lot of times when we're like, where's this thing, we can actually have a little bit more patience and hold a little more space and just tap into feelings of abundance while we're waiting than, until sometimes we don't get it right away. So we can learn to feel that abundance even without that thing, even though we know it's coming for us, because we know God is always taking care of us. Okay, so as usual, I'm going to start with your tarot, and then I'll read your oracle cards after that. Okay. Wow. Okay, I looked ahead. I got excited. Okay, we have a 10 of Swords. So some patient energy again. We have 6 of Swords. We have the Lovers. We have Page of Cups. We have the Empress. We have King of Wands. And then closing your reading, we have the 3 of Cups. Okay, so group 2, here's why you need some patience, okay? These 2 cards are really talking about having patience here. Okay, so 10 of Swords to 6 of Swords. I feel like this is really about 10 of Swords is clearly, I had enough. I can't do this anymore. I'm dead. Look at that person. Okay. Like you there's been enough. The line has been drawn in the sand. You decided I cannot do this anymore. I need a break. I need whatever. This is not working. The end. So that's a lot of this energy. So maybe there's something in your recent past or maybe something you're working through right now where you're like, wow, I thought this was the thing for me, but it's actually depleting me. It's not working, right? A lot of things, even if we don't get the exact reciprocal thing we get for it, there needs to be some type of energetic exchange that's fulfilling in some way. And when we don't do that, or we don't get that, it feels like this. Okay, so if you're feeling really depleted, really like, wow, this is so messed up, I can't think about this, this isn't helpful at all. So whatever thing it is, whatever I'm saying right now is bringing up something for you. Trust your intuition, trust what the information your body gives you when I'm talking. So there's something that is like you either know it or you're about to know it, right? That there is just you've had enough. It's time to go, which takes us right into the Six of Swords. So it could be, this is when you pack up the boat, you sail into the sunset, and there's no looking back, right? So this is like you reach your breaking point and then you do something about it and you leave. So there's no shame in that, especially if you've stayed somewhere too long or you've put too much energy into something. It can get harder to leave because I put all this time, energy, and effort into it, so I'm going to stay till it works. But sometimes, it just doesn't work, and that's just how things go. So this is really saying when you reach your breaking point, it's time to leave. So I think with this new moon, you can think about like, who would I be if I didn't have this? What new energy could I have if I left this certain thing? And usually a good sign that something isn't working for us or isn't for us anymore is if we feel relief when we think about that. We feel like, oh my God, there could be panic, like, oh my God, what's going to happen or what's next or whatever. But if you feel in general relief that this certain thing will be ending or won't be part of your life anymore, that's usually a good sign that, it's time to cut it. Because this is a general reading and I also didn't ask about a love reading, I feel like for some of you that might be a particular person, but I don't think so. It could just maybe be a relationship pattern. Again, when I do these new moon and full moon readings, when the lovers come up, I look at it more of like a balancing of a masculine and feminine energy within yourself or your own relationship patterns instead of having to do with someone else, because I don't ask about other people's energies. It's just for one person. So this could be, maybe you're leaving a relationship. It could be you're leaving a relationship pattern. And that doesn't just mean romantic. It could be all relationships, right? So it could just be that you're leaving, maybe you were in a situation where you let your boundaries get crossed again and you're like, okay, I'm finally done and ready to not have my boundaries be crossed like again for another time when they don't need to be, or I don't need to let that happen. So it could be something with that. It could also be that once you've done this and you set boundaries for yourself, you can get your masculine and feminine energy back in check. So masculine and feminine energy, if you've watched my videos before, you know that it's not about gender expression or the gender you identify with. It's about all of us have masculine and feminine energies in our bodies, and all of us need to have a healthy balance of it. So masculine energy is go out and make something happen. It's action oriented. It's, being confident, interacting, doing things, whereas feminine energy is more about being still, going slow, allowing, receiving. So we need to have a balance of that in our lives in order to feel whole and complete. So it could be that with this new moon, you say no when you've had enough, and then you can get those back into balance. Or it could be that it's time for you to move into a new balance of that. So with this new moon, you can think about if my masculine and feminine energies were in balance, what would that be like? So it could be, I have a good balance between the amount that I go out and make things happen, and then I give myself enough time to kind of rest and be still and balance that. Or masculine energy could be that you go out and you set a boundary, and then feminine energy could be, okay, now I know things can still come to me even if I say no or yes to this particular thing, whatever comes up for you. So how it resonates. But again, because this is a general reading and not a love reading, I think just for a few of you it might be about a relationship pattern, but in general it's probably more of like balancing our masculine and feminine energy with that. Because going from there, the center of your reading, we have the Page of Cups. So the theme of your reading for group 2 is a little surprise coming here. So a lot of times we can be scared to leave something or say no, or even when we know we've had enough, if we don't have something to replace it right away, right? We can feel like, okay, well, I can't quit my job until I have another job. And sometimes, there is financial reason for that. So I get it, right? But sometimes if we hold on to something, we don't actually create space for the thing we want to have come in, right? So when you're like, well, I'll date someone just to pass time until I meet the person who is for me. And it's like, I get it, but you have to like create space and really act from a place of, okay, what if I met this person tomorrow, or I got my dream job tomorrow, or I got this thing tomorrow, like would I be a match for it today? And so this is connecting to, again, that patience card that was you chose for yourselves for group 2. This is like, this is the little fish coming out there is a surprise, right? It just has a cup and then boom, there's a fish. So this is just saying, like, as long as you are staying in balance with yourself, as long as you're having these boundaries and kind of allowing things to unfold at their time, right? Your prayers are being answered, they're being heard, then we will always be surprised in a way that we couldn't see it coming. So, it's like the cheesy, corny saying, right? It always happens when you least expect it. But like, it's true. And that maybe it's not when you expect it if you're waiting for it, but it could be when you're not like putting all your energy on where is it, right? So that's what we want to focus on with this of, focusing on your own life and then giving yourself permission to be pleasantly surprised by all the abundance that life can bring us, right? Because when we are internally sourced and when we know that what we do for ourselves is to like keep our own energy in alignment and not to get something outside of us, right? I'm not doing this so this person will find me attractive, or this job will, suddenly see how great I am, right? We do it so we can feel good for ourselves. Then that's when we get to be surprised by life, because we're focused on ourselves and cultivating that wholeness within ourselves, and then that overflows in this way. So I think this is about giving yourself permission to focus on you. So maybe again with this new moon, you can think about what are ways that maybe I've been projecting my own energy outward instead of being like, okay, this is something I can focus on within myself, and I can set some boundaries or get more clear about how can I pour into myself so that I can be pleasantly surprised. I'm doing my part, and then I give myself permission to be surprised by, I don't have to control the outcome as much. Because what I see here is just this really beautiful Empress King of Wands energy. So both of these, I feel like this is representative of a balanced masculine and feminine energy, just really divinely aware of themselves, poured into themselves, just like kind of know who they are. Again, whatever gender you identify with, we all have masculine and feminine energies. And so this is just like really advanced feminine energy and really advanced masculine energy. So this is really saying, again, how can you make sure your feminine energy is like tapped in, turned on, ready to go, and how can you make sure your King of Wands is like that too? So your masculine energy. So, if you're waiting for a job, is like, do you check a job posting? Do you do that? And then your feminine energy piece of it could be, okay, I write down my like dream job, my dream situation. I take 10 seconds to visualize it. I'm, and take it for, whatever thing you're trying to create in your life. But this is about really advanced masculine and feminine energy, and just really being able to hold space for that and like allow these blessings to come to you as you put in the work and kind of set those boundaries. And then closing your reading, really beautiful 3 of Cups. So this is celebratory energy. So you will, and look at this, it's from the Page of Cups to the 3 of Cups. So, well, I guess it'll be that way for you guys. But so this is really about celebratory energy. This is about things will come into alignment, things will happen. When you are brave enough to say no to things that don't serve you, if you have a little patience, then you will get to the place where you can celebrate, where you can be happy, where you can be excited, where you can kind of realize, okay, things did work out for me and this was the right choice, and I'm allowed to celebrate and enjoy myself and my life, right? So that really is this 3 of Cups celebratory energy coming up for you. Okay, and then let me look at your oracle cards. I can grab them. Okay. Look at this, can't make this up. Be patient again, okay? So I feel like if you said no to something and you are waiting to be surprised by life, be patient, right? Sometimes you're on the slide and you're waiting to go, and then you get there and you're so excited, right? But this is just having a little bit of faith, having a little bit of faith. And then going along with that, we have I am a spirit having a human experience, and I'm here to get closer to love. So again, a lot of times when we get tested or things happen to us that like our ego wouldn't choose for ourselves, it's so we can remember that we can create a loving, beautiful, nourishing home within ourselves, regardless of what is going on outside of us. And so I'm a spirit having a human experience. I'm here to get closer to love. Just remember that God is not malicious. There's that Albert Einstein quote, right? God is subtle, but not malicious. So this isn't to punish you. This is just to give you an opportunity to have some soul expansion and to really think about the ways you can show up for yourself. And going along with that, we have the I'm sorry card, defenselessness, writing past wrongs, and uprooting. So I feel like for this group with these swords, maybe if there's some things you need to release or say sorry for, sometimes if we stay in a situation too long and our needs aren't being met, we don't feel fulfilled. Sometimes we can like hold some of not the best energy in the world that we're proud of. So maybe you didn't do anything super major, but just kind of cleaning up your energy, letting it go, releasing some of that as you try to like get back into balance with yourself. Doesn't feel like super heavy or anything major, but it always is a good idea to clear energy out once you're trying to call in something new or move into a new space with that. Because we have you are healed. So the healing you prayed for is on its way. So this is again just really saying if you if you have, when you've left this situation, just again, same thing with patience, like it's happening, everything is energy before it's physical reality. So even if you don't see the results yet, just remember that, you are healed, something is happening, even if you can't see. And then lastly, we have creating cooperation. More gets accomplished when everyone has a role to play. So I feel like this is really echoing, again, a lot of the energy I was talking about with balancing your masculine and feminine energy, right? Sometimes we can put more emphasis on our masculine energy of going out and getting it done, or more on our feminine energy of like receiving and whatever. But so this is knowing that both of those have a role to play, and also we have a role to play. Well, the universe, God, spirit, source has a role to play. So this is knowing that all the pieces are working together. It's all part of the puzzle. And remembering that, like, you don't have to do it all, but there does need to be like cooperation and respect for all the pieces that are going on, and that will make things kind of flow and move a little bit easier for you. Okay, that's everything I have for you. I hope this serves you. If you ever want any more information about me, all of that is linked below. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Happy new moon, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 3. So you picked the first step, the hydrangea. Breaking down this problem into tiny pieces makes it easy to take the first step. So if you pick this group 3, some part of you is really feeling overwhelmed or feeling like out of control or maybe powerlessness. And just remember, with this new moon, you can ask for a solution. You can ask for guidance. You can ask for whatever. Sometimes we can get really overwhelmed if we think, how am I going to get to step 100 if I'm only at step 1, or if I feel like I'm at step -50, right? Sometimes that happens. So this is really saying, breaking down this problem into tiny pieces makes it easy to take the first step. Sometimes the first step is, step 1, admitting we're powerless, from a 12-step recovery program standpoint, or it could just be saying like, I need to make a list and identify what the actual problem is, right? If we feel out of control, sometimes we can just attach a bunch of problems to something, making it like more than it is, not minimizing what you're going through, or saying that you are, but just knowing sometimes we can just write it down, look at it, take a deep breath, know we can handle it. All of that energy might be helpful for you. So group 3, anything with first step stuff, and just knowing you just have to do one thing at a time. You'll be guided to the next thing, guided to the next thing, guided to the next thing as you move, bit by bit through this. So a lot of first step energy for group 3 here. Okay, so I'm gonna start with your tarot like usual, and then we will go into your oracle card. Okay, so opening, we have nice one, 10 of Cups, then 3 of Wands, and another 10 of Pentacles. We have the Devil right in the center of your reading. Don't worry, we're gonna talk about it. Ace of Swords, Hierophant, and then Queen of Wands. Okay, so let me just say, I normally get to the center of the reading, but with the Devil, being the theme of your reading, I'll just address this right away. I'll get more into it as I do the rest of your reading. But let me just say right away, people are scared of this card, but it just means to be aware of temptation. It means being aware of addictive energy, of past patterns that maybe we want to fall into when things aren't going our way. If we have that first step, maybe it's like you might want to spiral out of control or like deal with something in a not healthy way because this energy is maybe casting a shadow over the rest of your reading. But just, this is really just saying, this is the theme of your reading of just the devil's real, the devil is a lie, the closer you are to your goal, the more the devil's going to come and try and sabotage you and take things out on you and all of that. So this is really saying just be mindful of that. We're going to get into it. It's not a doom sentence, not the end of the world. It's just part of life. Sometimes we have to do that. So, but looking at the beginning of your reading, let's look at that. I'm not going to say anything for a second. Just look. 2 10s either side of this 3 of Wands. So I feel like, so you can look at these all together, then I'll talk about them one by one. I feel like maybe for this group, there's a decision you have to make or something you have to choose. This 3 of Wands energy, that's really about like charting new territory, deciding what to do with your life. And this is really saying, whichever you choose, you're going to have abundance. You see that? It's on both sides of it. So if this is the center of these 2 cards, and this is really like making a decision. It could be traveling. It could be, should I stay here, go there? Should I date this person or that person? Should I take this job or that job? Should I, whatever the situation is when I'm talking this coming up for you, it's really saying you're going to have abundance no matter what you choose. You're going to have the 10 of Cups or 10 of Pentacles. Okay, so a lot of times, we think, oh, am I going to choose wrong? Am I going to choose wrong? But the truth is we can't choose wrong, because even if we chose the wrong thing, right, everything is a learning experience and a way for us to like get rerouted, right? We do not, you can't miss anything that's for you. So even if you kind of like detour and choose something that maybe didn't end up being the best choice, right, we can always push ourselves back onto the path that actually serves us. And so here, it is good to like take a few moments to be still, to be reflective, to kind of, look out in the horizon and decide what we want for ourselves. But this is really saying, honestly, can't make this up. 2 10s, whatever you choose, you're going to be okay. Okay, whatever you choose is going to be fulfilling. It is going to be abundant for you. You are going to make the most of it out of whatever you choose. And that's the thing about being someone who's committed to your spiritual growth, which if you're watching a tarot reading on YouTube in your free time, we're going to assume that you're that type of person. Okay, so this is about, knowing that even if you choose a situation that might not seem as good on paper or whatever, you can make it a 10 for yourself, right? Sometimes we can't because, we have to have limits and stuff like that. But if you're willing to learn in every situation, if you're willing to have an open heart, if you're willing to see things and learn and just kind of be present, then it will always be abundant. But I think this is really saying if you've been deciding between 2 things, or maybe you don't know what the next path is, the next thing to do, this is really saying you're going to make the most of it. For whatever you choose. But with this new moon, with the devil, right, this is really about sometimes when we choose something else when we're ready, if we get overwhelmed or we don't know exactly what we want or we don't feel the best about it, maybe we can fall back on old habits that don't serve us, or we can kind of like abandon some of the growth we've done, or we can kind of backpedal, or maybe, if we're nervous, we're coping in an unhealthy way, right? So maybe we're playing too much video games or drinking too much or ignoring reality, whatever's going on. So this is just really saying with this new moon, when you're making this choice for yourself and you're choosing something abundant, how can you make sure that you don't fall into like some of these old patterns or these old habits that might be coming up? Sometimes when we get out of our comfort zone, we want to cling to those old like dopamine boosters because we're like, oh, it's overwhelming, I don't know what to do. But then we have this to remind us, don't choose that. Let's use our healthy toolkit this time, okay? You've done the work. You've shown up. Use your healthy toolkit. That's what we want to say with this card. Because, and then going from that, how we can combat. Okay. The devil energy is Ace of Swords and the Hierophant. So Ace of Swords is about boundaries. Hierophant is about going back to the basics, going back to traditional things, going back to whatever, right? So Ace of Swords is about, this is something I know I will not allow in my life. So maybe, you reach out to your ex every time that you have a new change in your life because you don't have like someone who you feel is as good of an emotional support system yet. maybe the boundary is let's not do that, right? Maybe you find comfort in food when you're feeling anxious. Maybe we don't want to do that this time, right? So I think this is really getting clear. What boundaries do you need to set? What temptations are around you? It could be even self-sabotage things, right? Like, oh, well, do I want this job or this job? Well, I don't want to have to pick, so I'm not even going to apply for that job, right? It could be something like that. So it's just getting very clear. What boundaries do you need to set if you were acting from this new moon energy of feeling so abundant, of feeling so powerful, of feeling so clear in yourself? So like, just think about the royal zodiac. That is Leo energy. What boundaries would you set and not even think twice about it if these things were coming up for you, right? So, well, I know, it could be, for example, I know I'll choose the right and perfect job for me if I get 2 job offers. If I'm choosing between here or there, I know that I can make the most of it wherever I go. So this is what I'm going to choose. So just really affirming yourself, setting some boundaries, not falling into old patterns of self-doubt. It could just even be stories you tell yourself about yourself, but just getting very clear about what boundaries do you need to set when you do that. And it's easier for us to set healthy boundaries when we do have some of this Hierophant, traditional back to basics energy, right? So Hierophant is about tradition. So this could be, if you've done spiritual work for a while, that like my healthy toolkit is praying, is meditating, is journaling, is talking to like my spiritually minded friend. It's, spending time in nature, whatever it is for you, do that. Because when we feel whole and secure and connected to our spiritual practice, it's easier for us to set boundaries, to say no, to say yes where we need to, to do all that. When we're internally sourced and feeling strong and powerful in this way, it's easier for us to say no to things like this. So this is really about, again, think about a healthy toolkit. So with this new moon in Leo, you can ask yourself, what is my healthy toolkit? Make a list. Here's my things I can go to when I feel overwhelmed. Here's what's going to work for me. The end. Because closing your reading, really beautiful. We have the Queen of Wands. So you see, this is just like someone who, again, regardless of your gender, my readings are not gender specific. It's just Queen energy. So just really someone who is on her throne, who does know what she's doing, has said yes to the right things. And I think, this is really beautiful. I always look for patterns in the cards. And so you see, this was like deciding between 3 things, let's say, 4, whatever, and then choosing one and still being a queen about it, right? So she chose one of these wands and here she is. So I think this is just really saying, again, you can tap into this queen energy. You can tap into being proud of yourself, to knowing what you're doing, to feeling like this is what I did for myself and it's amazing. And knowing that you can really embody that queen energy because of boundaries and this healthy toolkit, and saying no to this shit when it is time for you to do that. And so knowing that this is who you are, and Queen of Wands is Leo energy. This is a new moon in Leo. So really embodying and trusting yourself to know what to do. And going back to the card we picked, the first steps, right? This is just identifying one thing at a time, going through one thing at a time. And really with this Queen of Wands, just really being like, yes, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. No questions, the end, right? So really embodying that and trusting yourself to embody that. Okay, then with your oracle cards. Okay, so we'll start with this one. So we have celebrating simplicity. Then the other side says, I am more fulfilled when there is less to manage and maintain. So I think this is, when we talk about the first steps and just breaking it down into step by step, making that list of, here's my healthy toolkit, here's my unhealthy toolkit, breaking it down, making it very simple, right? If I feel tempted to drink a lot when I'm making this decision, or I can journal instead, right? Keep it simple. This is a list I don't really want to engage with. This is a list I do want to engage with. And, no one's expecting you to be perfect. We are humans. We are here to learn. And just remember that, it is important to keep things simple. When you have the list, when you have like kind of that compass to guide you, it's easier to make the right decision in the moment, regardless of how we're feeling. Going along with that, we have, when I lean on certainty and faith, I change my mind about the world I see. So again, just remember that this is what I was talking about in the beginning with having faith. Not just that the universe will bring you what you need, but having faith in yourself that you can create the perfect 10 situation no matter what's going on in your life, right? All the magical experiences in your life have a common denominator of you having them. Okay, so don't downplay yourself. You can embody this queen energy regardless. You know, there are certain situations where we do thrive more than others, and we need certain situations to fulfill that within ourselves. But just remember that what this new moon is really saying is tap into that certainty and faith that you can create it all. You can, you know, say no to these temptations. You can kind of let things go, maybe that aren't and have not been serving you. And then these two cards kind of go together, so we're going to talk with them. So first one we have is longing for home, homesick for the stars. And we also have past life healing, forget me not. So the situation has been triggered by one of your past lives, heal the past, and you bring healing into the present. So if this aligns with your some of your beliefs, both of these cards are kind of talking about remembering that you exist more than this lifetime. So this has kind of been a theme in all of the readings today. So just remembering, like with that Leo energy, really abundant energy, just remember that we come to Earth to learn. We're on Earth school to learn. We're on Earth to heal, you know, generational things, heal things from our own individual past lives, from our lineage, all of that. So if you're feeling overwhelmed or stressed out, or maybe like, oh my God, I can't believe I still have to deal with this. I can't believe I still choose these unhealthy things, right? Any of that, just remind yourself that, you know, you are bigger than this particular lifetime, and there are energetic things that we don't know that are going on that might be affecting our energy in a way that we can't see. So this is really saying, have some compassion for yourself, lighten up, be a little kind to yourself. You know, we think we can figure out what's going on based on what's happening in 3D reality, and that definitely is part of it. But just remind yourself that if you're feeling overwhelmed by the situation, I think this is just a little nice nod for you to remember that there are things going on here that are bigger than you, than this particular lifetime, and just kind of trying to make peace with that and not be totally responsible for everything that has ever happened to you in every lifetime combined, right? You can ease up on yourself. And then last card is a 23, if that resonates for you, and it's give more. So I think this is really when I'm talking about, so shiny, when I'm talking about giving more to yourself. So when we're talking about, you know, setting boundaries, getting back to the basics, doing a lot of that, giving more to yourself, but also when we feel totally stuck and like this energy, the first step energy, right, that we don't know what to do. Sometimes when we don't feel like we know what to do, like giving to other people is a way to activate that service energy, and then we can kind of flow more, right? So you could just even smile at your neighbor. You could volunteer somewhere. You could donate some money. You could, you know, whatever is coming up for you, however it's resonating. But when you open that giving energy and you have that flow go with you, then you're more open to receive. And that can be guidance from yourself. It can be guidance from your angels, guidance from the other side, guidance from your higher power, right? So if you're feeling stagnant and, you know, again, what we were talking about in the beginning of you don't know which thing to choose, you don't know which decision to make, this can really be about, don't focus on the decision, take some time off and focus on giving, and just see what comes up for you and what becomes more clear, what becomes more obvious for you as you're moving forward with that. Just open the doors to give, and you know, giving is receiving, and it just energetically opens so much for us. Okay, that's everything I have for you. I hope this served you. If you ever want any more information about me, all of that is linked below. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Happy new moon. Remember to focus on things you want to call in, new energy. Okay. And I hope you have a wonderful day.